Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to get Bloodborne up and running on Batocera. So I've gone ahead and established an SSH session to my Batocera system. I already have Shad PS4 and Bloodborne installed, but I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to get to where I am with this in this video here today. And you can change the paths on things, but right now I just sort of have things under user data. But you can make things a little cleaner if you want, or make it a little different. That's entirely up to you. But what we are going to do is we're going to install Shad PS4. I tend to use the work in progress builds. But I actually have here's the latest at the time I'm making this video work in progress build, pre-release build, and it needs to be named like that, Shad PS4-qt.appimage with a capital A and a capital I. I also have the release version of 050 here that I named like this. So my Shad PS4-qt.appimage, we can tell by the X's here that I'm highlighting that it is executable. You're going to want to make sure to do that. And if yours is not executable or you're not sure, you can just do a chmod plus x shad ps4qt.appimage. If you're not in the same directory where that appimage file is, you'll need to specify the full path in that command to the appimage file. But that chmod plus x will make it executable. And that is a necessary step. Then we have the shad ps4.desktop file, and that's just a file you're going to create. And inside of it, it should look similar to this, complete with the desktop entry line. And I just called mine shad ps4-config. Now you'll notice the icon line, this no longer exists, like this PNG no longer exists. There's nothing named that at this path. So it'll just be like a default icon instead. But you can point it somewhere else if you want. But the really important thing is this exec equals line. And you want to point that to the full path to your Shad PS4 app image, as you see I've done here by pointing it to user data Shad PS4 slash Shad PS4 qt.appimage. So once you've made the Shad PS4.desktop file and made it look like this, and just don't forget that that is Shad PS4-qt.appimage with a capital S at the beginning, a capital A in app, and then a capital I in image. Okay, so we actually want to move that file or copy it. In this case, I think I'll copy it. We're going to copy the Shad PS4.desktop file into user share applications. And once you've done that, run Batocera save overlay. I'm not actually going to do that because I don't need to, because this is already set up for me. And what that desktop file is going to do, and by moving it into that applications folder, is it's going to show up when we hit F1 and go to applications. We're going to see a Shad PS4-config. Go ahead and do a make directory here for user data ROMs PS4. And I stick both the package files that I'm going to install for the games in here, and this is also where they get installed to. I'll tell you more about that in a moment once we go and hit F1 and switch over to that. Let me adjust that just a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so here we are in Batocera. So this is what you would normally see. And we're going to go ahead and hit F1 and go into the little file manager thing that opens. And we're going to click on Applications. And you can see there we have our shad ps4-config. Now, the first time you run this, well, every time you run it, I forgot what I was going to say, so never mind. The first time you run it, you'll get prompted to put an installation directory for games, and then it'll ask you for where you want your DLC. For me, I put them both as user data ROMs PS4. And again, that's also where I've transferred all of my game, and they'll all need to be .pkg files. Just looking at some of the options here. Again, this is the latest work in progress build, so things may look different on the standard release build, the 050 build. But pretty much most of it's the same. I think they've changed the layout of some things and maybe added a couple other items, but all the important stuff is still pretty much the same. I checked the enable full screen box here, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to specify full screen later. There is an way to update to the latest release or nightly here. However, what's going to happen is you'll tell it to update, and it will say it needs to restart, and it will automatically restart you in the updated version. But the next time you click on shad ps4-config, it's going to open up the old version. So don't use this as a way to update. If you want to update, go download the latest app image and put it on your Batocera file system. So yeah, don't worry about the built-in updater. You don't want to do that. And it can be confusing because you'll think you updated, and the next time you go to start the game, it's going to start with the older version of the emulator because you haven't replaced that app image yet with the newest version. The graphics tab, there's really nothing under input. So in graphics, just make sure your graphics card is selected there on the left side for the graphics device. I leave mine set here at 1280 by 720. You can try to up that, but stability may be an issue. You can give things a shot, and that's where we have user data ROMs PS4 set. To install games, just go up here to the file menu and install a package, and browse on your Batocera system to where you have your package files for your games. What I ended up doing was I installed the Bloodborne, I think it's the Game of the Year edition, .pkg. However, you do need to have it on version 1.0.9. So also for that, once you've got the base game installed, do the same thing, install package, and browse for the package file for the update. And install that as well, and it should reflect here that you are running version 1.0.9. If you're not running 1.0.9, it will not show any of the patches. You just right click on the game title and choose Cheats Patches. Switch over to the Patches tab, go down to the bottom, hit Download Patches if you don't see anything here, and after a moment it will download them, and you will have The patches displayed as they are above. You have the gold hint patches and the Shad PS4 patches. Either one's probably fine. I would just stick with one or the other. I'm using the Shad PS4 patches, and you can see I have the 30 FPS fix installed. The 60 is down there somewhere, right there. It probably works fine, but right now I'm just trying to make it the experience as on par with what I got on the PS4 as I possibly can, and not adding additional risk to things that may cause it to crash. So I'm just running it at the 30 FPS with that fix. Also have the disable chromatic aberration and the disable motion blurs checked. That's just force of habit because that's what everybody I look at on the internet's been doing, has been disabling those two. You can try it without those and see how things are. I haven't actually tried it without them. I've only tried with them. Let's see. I've got the Force Enable Old Hunters DLC. Disable VSync. And the resolution patch for 720p. Again, you can try higher resolutions. Just expect that the higher you go, the more likely you're going to introduce problems and have crashes. But yeah, this is just what I'm currently running with. So after you've done that and selected the patches that you want, all you need to do is hit save down at the bottom and then close that out. I just Alt F4 to close that patches window. So at this point, you can double click on the game and it should launch. You're going to want to select play offline. I don't think there's any type of online play that's been enabled in this particular emulator. At least not as of yet. So that unfortunately does mean with Bloodborne that you're not going to be able to go into any of the like online chalice dungeons. So there's no CU MMM FPK dungeon that you're going to be able to use to level up fast at the fairly close to the beginning of the game. So you're going to have to do all your grinding the old-fashioned way. Or just keep creating chalice dungeons and hope that eventually you hit one that's really good. But that's how you would go in, do the initial configuration. That's how you're going to install your games, by installing the packages, by using this Shad PS4-config on the applications menu. But that's not really what we want. That's not what I wanted, because I don't want to have to hit F1 every time I want to play this game. I want it to work like everything else does in Batocera, and work from the EmulationStation side of the house, you know. So in order to get that up and running, we're going to need to switch back to our SSH session. So we'll do that in just a moment. Okay, so let's change into our user data ROMs PS4 directory. And in here you can see I've got a bunch of game packages down here. Most of which don't work yet, or don't work very well yet. But Bloodborne's been working great for me, so... and up here you'll see the directories where they're installed. So this is where, when you install the package in Shad PS4, it's actually installing the game too. It's underneath those game IDs, those CUSA numbers. Each of those is a game ID. And if you're curious what the ID is of a particular game, after you've installed it, the where it lists the games inside that Shad PS4 GUI, uh, it gives you the game ID there. So you never have to be confused over which game ID relates to which game. So what you want to do next is use an editor such as VI to create a .sh file. I'm going to call this one Bloodborne.sh. And I don't think the display, well, you want to start it with a hash bang or shebang /bin/bash. And then for display, I've got it equals to :0.0. I'm not sure if that display section is even necessary, but it certainly doesn't hurt by being there. And then you want the path to your Shad PS4 app image file. So for me, that's under user data, Shad PS4-qt.appimage. You want to put a -- full screen, then space, and the word true. It's going to tell it to run in full screen. And then you want to put the path to the eboot.bin for the game. In this case, mine are going to be under user data ROMs PS4 for Bloodborne. It's this game ID /eboot.bin. And this is how you would also add additional games. You would just create an SH file for that game and basically put this line in it and just change the game ID number there. I'm not sure if this actually needs to be made executable, but I like for my .sh files to be set executable, so I just went ahead and did a chmod +x on the Bloodborne.sh file. I want to open it up one more time just to show you here. This works fine with the 0.5.1 work in progress builds or pre-release alphas that I've been using of Shad PS4. But if you are using the base release 0.5.0 Shad PS4, this actually won't work, and you need to insert a -G right before the path to the eboot.bin. But if you are using the work in progress builds, it should work without the -G. So just something to keep in mind. For example, Gravity Rush Remastered, I'm using my 0.5.0 app image. And you'll see I have -G specified because it just will not launch without that. So yeah, that's basically it. So, oh no, that's not it. We need to add. We added Etsy EmulationStation ES Systems config. Give me a minute here. Wow, there's the word ports is in a lot of things. As soon as I find it, what I basically did was found the configuration section for ports and copied it and just made a couple of changes. You may know more about this stuff than I do, and you may want to make additional changes. But that's fine. But here's what I did as soon as I locate it. I was looking for SH. That's terrible. You know what? Since I already have it added, maybe I can just look for PS4, because what I'm looking for with ports should just be right above it. Yeah. Okay. So when you see like the full name ports, this section, you want to copy everything from this system line. all the way down here until you see this /system. So it closes out that system. So if you copy that and just paste it down here below, here's what I pasted. And what I changed was full name. I changed to PS4. I left name as ports. I think I put manufacturer. Yeah, I think I changed the manufacturer line to be Sony. I think I also changed the hardware line to be consoles. But what's really important is the path. Make sure that's set to user data ROMs PS4. Extensions are going to be the same. Leave that the same. So we've got that .sh in there. Everything else is the same. I think I set theme and group to both be PS4. And I think everything else should be good. Yeah, so I'll just leave that up for a moment. If you need to, you can pause the video and jot down everything you see here. But yeah, so once you've got that in there, you can save this file and exit out of it. And don't forget to do a Batocera save overlay after you edit that file. That way your changes will be persistent across reboots of Batocera. So we can close out of this and let's do... You might want to do an updates game list at this point. But you should see PS4 in your list of systems, and here are the games. DOA Extreme 3 Fortune doesn't even load at all for me. Gravity Rush works, but you have to copy some files in, some sys modules, in order to get the text to show up. And every time you get into a battle, there's a high chance it's going to crash. You can keep continuing and playing it and eventually get past those points, but just expect it to crash a lot if you want to try this. It's really not quite ready for a normal playthrough. Lost Paradise is a game I really want to have working. It loads, but it has so many graphical issues and things that aren't rendering that it's just unplayable at this point. But I hope it's high up there on my list of games. I hope they get working with Shad PS4. Then we have Sakura Wars. This is the remake from a few years ago. It starts, but the initial anime cutscene, after that plays out, the game just crashes. You never actually get in game with it. You just get to watch that opening cinematic. Sonic Mania works fine. It's great, as I'm sure most probably 2D only games are. The Last Guardian also has a lot of issues. You can actually boot it. You can go in game, but lots of graphical issues, lots of other problems. It's just not anything I would call playable yet. On this list, the probably most playable are Sonic Mania and Bloodborne, followed by Gravity Rush, as long as you don't mind it crashing a lot. But yeah, and it's going to crash a lot. It's almost annoying with the Gravity Rush remastered. So they might need to cook a little longer on the emulator before I would even suggest really playing Gravity Rush remastered. Just because it's just really annoying. Especially if you're most of the way through a battle and then it crashes and then you start up right at the beginning of the battle again. It's just tedious. But let's go ahead and fire up Bloodborne. That's what everybody is interested in. And yeah, it runs great. I haven't had too much time to play it, but recently I defeated the Witches of Hemwick. I defeated Vicar Amelia, Dark Beast Parl. I have not had any issues with this game so far. I am using the fix for vertex explosions. You can try without it, but if you notice like the face of your character like shooting off in one direction or any other type of vertex explosions, just go to Nexus Mods and search for the Bloodborne vertex explosion fix, and it'll give you some files that you can copy into a certain directory in the user data, ROMs, PS4, CUSA, blah blah blah. If you get it from Nexus Mods, just follow the instructions. There's lots of information out there. It's very Googleable as far as where you want to put what files and where you want to put them to get the Vertex mod installed, or the Vertex Explosion Fix mod installed. But yeah, so I know that was kind of quick, being rushed through a little bit, but that's how you do it. It really is that simple. Your mileage may vary depending on your hardware. My experience may not match the experience you're having. This emulator is always in flux, so if you go download a work in progress build that's newer than the one that I have, you may have different outcomes. But hopefully for a lot of you, this should help at least show what I did to get this up and running, and maybe you can repeat the steps and also get Bloodborne up and running on Batocera. So having Batocera on PC, I mean, we're here. It's great. And I hope you're as excited about this as I am, and maybe I'll go play some more Bloodborne. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.